We are live now.
Oh.
Just this button.
Okay.
And then this button again to stop it.
Sweet. Announcements.
Oh, the webcam stuff.
Are you?
We should start the meeting with
STEMFest this last weekend? Or was that 2 weekends?
By the way, the one last thing is I always put the tripod legs. I put them like perpendicular here so I can get as close as possible. And then you got to raise this a little bit.
Was this last weekend STEMFest or was that 2 weekends?
Oh, we have STEMFest. We need to talk about. We have a picture from STEMFest.
we have our trophy.
Yeah, Chris posted one on.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
You get it?
I'm a box.
So yeah, this thing just like pulls up.
Okay.
And yeah, you want it as close to the desk as possible.
Level 100 lockpick, bitch.
Even as when you have it that close, the person, everyone's head is still really small in the picture. So
Okay.
you want to get it as close as you can, so they're not. They're at least minimal bad.
I want to retire my skills. Oh my god. You know, so that was like, dude.
That was a shit ton of information, and you guaranteed do not remember it all. So maybe like next week, like you want to try doing it, and I'm just.
So if you want to try holding Mike accountable, because I will, but like, I'm just trying to step back.
Yeah,
So you guys can get in the hang of holding people accountable for positions. At least that's our only really job.
No, let me
President.
close out this Slack. There we go.
No news.
Final.
Yeah, it's fine.
Study.
Are we still live?
We went unlive for a second, and now we should be re-live.
So should I take out the rest of the slides here, the weekly news and all this? Or is that? Is this new?
I could, unless Chris added it, I don't think it's new.
We didn't do weekly news. We're going to do like Q&A at some point, but
Well, it's only us.
it was only us. Which means it's been like slides.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, some people will probably have finals.
I think the final for whatever the robotics. This was not robotics.
Yeah, Tim can't make this night because of that.
Yeah, whatever the Lego thing is that they're doing, that must be due tomorrow because I've seen no less than 10 of the photos.
Yeah, go to TUC. It's just fucking filled. Yeah.
I like the freshman final project.
I think so. They're
Singleman should be here because we have to.
He was at the gym, so not far away.
Is he done with the gym?
a little, very little.
Did you guys see that picture I posted? That the bookstore sells knives more dangerous than the ones we wanted to order.
It's such
Yes.
Like the one we wanted, like you couldn't, like it's a break-off knife, so you literally couldn't stab someone with it. That was like an X-Acto. You could stab them. I mean, it only go in and like
diamond.
It's called a dime.
And they sell screwdrivers. Dude, we gotta go back. We gotta go back to them and tell them, hey, you're selling weapons at your fucking store.
Well, no, we'll tell them if they try to cut anything off of our budget like that again. I'll be like, hey, well, if you see the UC bookstore here sells these, so if it's okay to sell at the UC bookstore, then it should be okay to fund committees for, right? Or fund organizations for. Like X-Acto knife.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not that we need one, but like.
It wouldn't be that hard to just buy it out of our own money, too.
Yeah, or to buy it at the UC bookstore, but that's just the point that I'll make if they try to cut it. Stupid shit.
Yeah, they funded the transaction that, I funded them. So.
They were just trying to cut our screwdrivers because they could be like
Yeah.
There's screwdrivers.
I know.
Yeah, it's like you still have to abide by the
It was like a
conduct
30-minute
you
conversation.
see either way.
It was a 30-minute conversation. They had to like talk about the screwdriver.
Our janitors are just carrying around weapons everywhere. It's terrifying.
I have like concealed screwdriver.
Oh,
I carry around a couple Phillips head. I don't really.
Flathead's the only way to go, man.
Yeah, flathead. I don't take out the flathead. That's just asking for trouble.
Hey, everybody sign in
I'm not actually gonna sign in.
right
I
now.
think I signed in like 2 weeks ago.
Wait, does the sign in work? Or
What do you mean? Yeah, it works.
Battery.
Chris, what are you saying? With the sign
The
in?
form will capture it at least.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the farm works. The rest of it does not.
Okay.
So, I worked on that last Christmas. So I'll probably just like remake it again. I'm pretty sure I just gotta update the
Yeah, I have not looked at it. I was just reading the subject line of Tim's email.
Here's another.
Look at this crowd. This sure is finals week. Or
What's up, Corey?
last week of the semester. You wait.
What's Skyline today? What's happening?
No, I didn't go to Skyline. Everyone else did though.
You're forgiven.
Skyline?
That word.
You like Skyline?
What's wrong with Skyline, bro?
I like it. I like Skyline.
Okay, so
I don't know,
you
John
don't deserve to live in Cincinnati. We're gonna have to
Change
go
the
see what
signage
Dixie.
To force an M.
Okay.
What?
Is that a
I
law?
don't know. I noticed that too because I totally
What is it? Was this you?
plug it in last time and then it was like you can't put an N. We do it
This
for
you?
you.
Yeah, you put an N before.
No, you validate it later. It's like 2 lines of Python.
Yeah, but see, the problem is the sign-in thing. It's like you can't, like, it would, if you want to see summaries of the results, it's like you want the number to be the same every time. So that's why I want
For
to.
the quick summaries?
Yeah.
For the quick summaries.
No. The sheet does that.
Yeah, it's.
No. Not that.
If I were making my own
I would-
form,
we go
then I
to,
would have made it fix your
Skyline
number.
every Friday.
But see, the problem is, the worst part is it goes to a
It's like some guys
spreadsheet,
last day,
and then if your
you
number
have to
begins with a
like
zero,
turn
that
it
zero
over
gets
and
dropped, and I don't know if you forgot to put in a
Last day
digit,
at
or
co-op.
if it was a zero that got dropped. And so that's why I put in validation.
I see.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm waiting
What
till I
do you
get my
mean?
master's degree before I accept
It's
any
it just puts it in, like, you don't have control of
You
that.
can validate.
So I'm not going to accept this current one.
Yeah, but
I mean,
just-
everything behind this is running in Python. Well, it's not.
But I'm just
I
doing it
want
in
to be able to
Google.
work 30 hours.
What are you
a week
doing?
And go to school.
Like, I didn't write code for
Right,
it.
it's
40
letting me
hours a
put an
week
M.
plus school.
Yeah, you're supposed to put it in.
Oh, when you submit it.
I mean, that way
Huh?
at least I can come as a band too.
It's supposed to be an M. I had the M there.
Yeah, I see it now.
Most do, you know.
It's because if some people, their M number begins with a zero, and then they put that in, and it go into the spreadsheet, and Excel would be like, oh, is the number, and drop the zero.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know if it started with a zero, or if they just
Right.
forgot a digit.
Excel's your first problem here.
Excel.
Probably was like turn.
Well, it was Google Sheets. I didn't make this form. I just made it better.
Columbus.
Columbus. Okay. Was it a good
Come on,
venue?
aren't you
Big
in
venue?
Columbus, man?
There we go.
What?
Big
Just pop it in
venue.
MATLAB. Not
Oh
like
my God,
crazy
fuck
fucking
that. So
big
much.
Something like
Loaded a bunch of.
Our final project in the course is to make like a big GUI application.
Like the first meeting
Fuck.
of the semester.
Oh,
God.
I know, yeah.
Fuck God.
Dude, I'm pretty sure we took most of ours from online
Somewhere between
somehow.
there and
Fuck
some-
God.
I don't know how, but it worked.
It's like Guide is so bad that like if I weren't on such a time crunch, I would legit write the whole OS in
It's
code
almost like
instead of using Guide.
marketing.
Because Guide is the worst.
It was like my friend's marketing.
Guide, it's
Also,
a portmanteau of GUI
2-year
and
anniversary
IDE.
What
So
happens
you read out this
when I
part,
put in,
it's
what's your
what?
full name, and
So
I
I
put
put
Ryan
G.
G.
Get my
Boss?
fucking check.
I can't hear you.
Use Gen 2.
What's Gen
But
2?
it was pretty big turnout. What's up,
Oh,
Robbie?
no, we're
It was
talking
pretty big
about
turnout.
like fucking.
And it was a lot of fun.
MATLAB.
Limited free drinks for $20.
We're talking about
$20 to
MATLAB.
get in. And oh my god, I went to the bar and I was like,
MATLAB.
No, no one said OS
I said
ever.
OS.
on old fashioned.
I was talking about Guide,
You know how to do all
which
this,
is
that,
GUI.
and
It's a portmanteau of GUI and
free drink
IDE,
tickets.
and it's
Alright.
MATLAB's like GUI
Everybody else
editor,
limited to 6.
and it's garbage.
So
It is dog shit.
it was alright. And then for the rest of the night, we were
It
just
has
out
snap
at the
to
bar,
grid,
yeah,
but like
we
you'll
got
drag the
6
same
long
thing
islands,
to the same spot
3
twice, and it'll snap
Oktoberfest,
differently.
like beers and
You can't align things.
Ridiculous.
By the way,
Didn't
it's
drink
like,
all.
should we start? It's
Yeah,
6:34.
No.
we can start. I was just gonna see if Mike Singleman was on his way, but I mean it's 6:33. Do you guys really think there's gonna be that many more people coming up? I guess this is
Yeah, I think everyone's not
Pre-finals
coming
week.
today. They just won't come in anyway.
Week before finals and all.
Yeah, I mean, IT usually has their finals like half a week early. A week early.
okay. All right.
Wait, so this is the one.
So, where's presenting? Hey there. All right, it's week 80. How's everyone doing?
Woo!
All right, so we're gonna be going over Worldwide Cyber this week, and I know nothing about it, but from what I hear, it's pretty neat. I don't think anyone
There's
knows.
no
Yeah.
one. Sign in if you haven't already, though. I'm just gonna say that 50 times a meeting.
So Norse Rage CTF, which they no longer go by Norse Rage apparently. So that's
The website was ctf.norseRage.com.
yeah. They still have the domain, but they are no longer or they're the NKU cyber defense team now.
Boring.
So yeah,
Norse Rage was a cool name.
it was yeah.
I was like jealous of their name, and
Yeah.
now it's not a name.
Well, now you don't have to be jealous of them.
Yeah.
That's why they did it. They didn't want you to feel jealous.
Exactly. So we tied for second, which is awesome. This
But blank.
but blank, yes, blank absolutely just nailed us. It was like two guys, and one of them was their secretary. Just
It was mostly
the,
just that one guy.
the club secretary.
yeah.
Oh, that's why.
No, I think he actually just like knew it that well. He was crazy.
Yeah, you're also involved with the organization.
All right, so CTF team is not meeting for the rest of the year, and we'll start up or meet again starting next semester. Simpa Hackers Night tomorrow 7 to 9.
Who's all going up?
In the evening.
Yeah.
I might be. It depends on what my other plans are.
Where is that?
So that is.
It's a new venue now.
Oh, is that a new venue?
The Hackers Nights at a different venue.
That's weird.
I don't know.
What are they doing?
Our secretary should be
Getting
putting
TikToks.
this in the calendar.
Doing stuff.
Stop.
Is this not on the calendar?
I
No.
mean, you can link it just to their
You wanna
meetup.
tell-
We have a
It's
calendar?
on there.
Or yeah, and then tell Mike to.
All right.
to that too.
That's all. Okay. Anyway, lab tasks and wiki has been updated, and STEMFest last weekend. It was neat. There were K through 12 kids. We encouraged them to get into cyber, and we showed them how insecure their passwords were and how their accounts had been owned, which was kind of funny. Also, everyone's got an account that's been owned. So.
Oh, also, Ryan, you had want to talk about the lab test?
Yeah, so I updated the task on ClickUp. So if you want to get involved with the lab, just like go on ClickUp and view lab infrastructure project. You have to like click on the top left, where it says like cyber IDC, and you like go lab infrastructure, and then I have a list of tasks up there, and then you can view what needs to be done, and then also written out details. So you have deliverables and know exactly what you need to do the task. So, and then if you do have any questions, you can come to me or take it. So yeah.
Cool.
All right. So, weekly news. Doesn't.
I was told we were skipping that this week for the
Yep.
session.
Yeah, there's nobody here though, so. Good job, everyone.
Yeah.
mean,
So
I can do it live.
that's all that happened this week entirely. It was just this slide.
We had the thing. The passport?
Do you want me to try and do it live? I can try and do it live.
If you really want to, we have the time.
I would. I
I'm
have a lot of
basically just
shit.
gonna
I
go
would
to my
not mind
sources
if
and
this
just be like,
meeting
hey, that
was
looks
short.
interesting. You guys should check it out.
You wanna
See it.
touch the like the passport information that got leaked by the hotel?
Oh yeah, by that hotel.
Who was it?
Marriott.
Marriott.
500 million.
If we don't have it,
I
like,
don't know
honestly,
anything
like, I have a
about
lot of
it.
shit. I wouldn't mind if this is a short
Anyone
meeting.
want to hear?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I want to hear
Okay.
stuff.
I got it finished like the last.
Oh yeah, I have credit cards I got.
More than that, passports. Like a lot of other information.
Okay.
Marriott and social security.
I'm just gonna. That's been bugging me. Sorry.
Yeah, that was.
Recurring issues are the.
Uh,
that's not even a recurring issue. It's just okay.
No, it was just a space.
So-
Sorry. That's my space.
500 million accounts. That's a lot of accounts.
The largest ever.
We see you're in Cincinnati.
Oh, there's
Put in Cliff's email. Sign up for it.
Please do
not.
not.
Go wild.
Yeah, I mean, this was crazy. I don't know how they get in. Did anyone read about that?
I literally have not read up on this yet. I didn't even know how many people had been breached. I just heard there had been a breach. So.
Yeah, so they have, since they're hotels and they're international entities, right? So you travel overseas, you bring your passport to stay at a hotel. Internationally, they scan your passport and a lot of other paperwork and stuff. So, I mean, all that was leaked. Every single federal employee that has stayed at a Marriott overseas, I mean, everybody, anyone that stayed overseas from the United States has had pretty much lost their passport.
Well, it's not saying here that if there was a breach, it's saying there was potentially a breach.
So what I read was in 2014, that was when someone had access to their database, was copying shit tons of like encrypted data, and then like recently they have, I don't know, it came to light or something. Or they care about it now. Maybe they still have been stealing information.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing that now. It was just later on. It started off with might have been accessed by hackers. Marriott's got a website.
Let's see the website.
There's a pretty good chance it's better than the one Equifax made, probably. It's already looking better than the one Equifax made, so...
That's a low bar.
It also actually loads.
It's time to start typo squatting.
Yeah.
People actually did that with the Equifax one, didn't they? And then Equifax actually tweeted a link to a fake one.
Yeah, equifaxsecurity.com/data breach or securityequifax.com/data breach. So,
it's going to be kroll.answers.com.
Answers.com is probably taken.
com.answers.kroll. Is that available?
Yeah.
I think we'd have a lot of luck with that one. Giving the gift of WebWatcher. I don't.
You're giving me a gift. The service monitors websites that use your personal information and will alert you if they plan to share it. A fitting gift given the circumstances. The fuck is WebWatcher?
I'm not sure I want WebWatcher watching my information.
Sounds like they're taking your data.
It's like,
give us your SSN and we'll tell you if you find it on the dark web.
Yes. Tell us everywhere you might potentially store your personal information and we'll monitor it.
Yeah. Or download our web app that watches all the websites you go to. And oh yeah, by the way, sorry for getting all of your data lost.
Jesus. Browser security insurance.
That's hilarious. What's another?
Maybe there's a white paper on it already. I doubt it. It would be really fast turnaround to get a white paper out.
There's some people in this world that just don't sleep. I taught you all. What's trending on Hacker News?
We can check out the Hacker News.
Or we could just check out just Hacker News. My go-to.
I just check out.
Oh yeah, Hacker News.
Would you be allowed to go to Hacker News on UC's internet?
Yeah, it's not about hacking.
I know, but there's a lot of websites that have hack in the name that aren't about hacking.
The URL doesn't even have hack in the name. It's news.ycombinator.com.
Let's check out Hacker News. Org attacked Hunter. Oh wow, Quora. RIP. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. Microsoft is finally getting rid of their internet malware and replacing it with Chrome.
That's actually really bad for the health of the web, though. The fact that everything is going to be Chromium.
That is true, in terms of diversity and whatnot. Yes.
With the last time we had like only one engine that people mattered was IE6, and that was we don't want to go back to an era like that.
Q one of my generic insults to Google.
Yes. Very generic insults.
WebKit actually is, Chromium is by Google, but WebKit is not by Google. It was originally by Apple.
Quora got hacked, so...
Have you heard of WebWatcher?
Anyone here have a Quora account?
I do.
Mine's through Facebook.
Your data might have been leaked. 100 million users' data.
I got leaked in the Technic.
Yeah, me too.
Technic mod pack for Minecraft.
Yeah, the Minecraft forums that ran the Technic Minecraft mod got hacked pretty much and password information.
This is actually the second time they've gotten
Wait,
hacked.
talk about the PewDiePie one.
Oh yeah, he hacked.
But this time they actually they if you looked at the message on the Have I Been Born email, they proactively reached out to Troy Hunt and gave him the list of emails. So
How many subs did he get because of that?
that was good on him.
I don't know, probably not just
Another million?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
They announced it immediately and made sure to alert people and get it to Have I Been Born.
Look at the PewDiePie one.
PewDiePie.
Uber fined 1.1 million by UK judge regular. That's it. That's
surprised
it.
it's not more.
1.1 million.
Everyone, hold on. Please unsubscribe from T Series and subscribe to PewDiePie right now. Get your laptops out. This is mandatory.
Alright.
It's not even.
I see PewDiePie on Twitch.
So
That's it.
I guess this article will do. If someone doesn't like The Verge, well, I'm sorry.
I think I looked at it. It's fine. Go to the tweets though, where they've got the image. Scroll down.
Oh my gosh.
What? So I guess somebody must have watched a DEF CON interview and decided to try out some of their hacks. And
This
was
isn't
like,
even a hack. This is so there's several prank protocols. One of them is called JetDirect. It runs on port like 9100, and it's like the most basic it's like you send stuff to that port and it just prints. Like you don't have to format your request in any way. It's like actually InMap specifically avoids that port because to not waste paper, because it's just So this guy just looked for port 9100 to be open and just sent that message to like every server.
That's awesome.
okay. I mean,
So everyone, please go right now, unsubscribe from T Series, subscribe to PewDiePie, join the Bro Army. T Series is the Indian. It's like an Indian music channel, and it's about to overtake PewDiePie as the #1 most subscribed.
You convinced me.
Wait, this person's called the Hacker Giraffe, and they're talking about how this is such a. I really hope this person's being sarcastic. Because this.
Unsubscribe from T Series and subscribe to PewDiePie.
I'm subscribed
It's like a
to
giant
neither.
meme.
I'm subscribed to neither, so.
I don't know who this person is.
If you've heard of the YouTuber Mr. Beast, he's been making tons of videos advocating for people to unsubscribe from T Series and subscribe. He like bought billboards in his town.
Are we ready to stop with the shit show?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're browsing Hacker News, having a good time. We're browsing the Hacker News.
Yeah, not just any Hacker News, the Hacker News.
The Hacker Giraffe.
You hear about the PewDiePie news?
No.
PewDiePie hacked a bunch of printers asking for subs.
It wasn't PewDiePie himself.
I know, it was me.
No, but it was his biggest fan.
Hayden, what is this?
So someone said
Just
that,
unplug it from the VGA thing and plug it into your computer.
Like this?
No,
I don't have
unplug the
a VGA
HDMI cable from the. I assume you have an HDMI port, right?
I do.
Yeah, plug that shit in.
Oh my god. That's funny.
Did I knock something over?
Yes.
What was it?
It's like the other day I was like,
It's too late.
I don't know if I was on YouTube or Instagram, but I was like on something completely unrelated to PewDiePie.
Hey,
and I
perfect.
saw somebody put
Working here too.
Alright, so this is gonna be like
PewDiePie.
very not in depth at
Maybe that
all
was a reference to that.
because I worked like 11 hours yesterday and I didn't have time for this. Alright, so we're going to talk about like the rest of the world in cyber. I think a lot of us know what happens in the US because it's more local. What? Present mode. Present mode? Absolutely not. I can control T it. So this is your present mode. Control T is for present. Okay.
Keying out.
Alright, so in 91 the USSR collapsed. That's kind of a weird place to start with cyber. Basically that, in terms of foreign events, that basically split everyone we now recognize as a cyber state / enemy into like kind of just independence from Russia supporting them constantly. And then Putin took over Russia, obviously, late
Gates becomes
90s.
president.
Yeah. He's ex-KGB, so pretty much everything he does is a derivative of what they taught him. So. What? It's very democratic. He's just very good. They keep electing him at like 99.9 something percent.
I mean, if you run against him, you'll get a dildo.
Hey, if you run against him, the people revolt or something. Yeah. So after that, they reorganized the KGB into the FSB, which is the Federal Security Bureau, which, as an APT, we call that Fancy Bear. It's basically the exact same thing, except they also include the Border Patrol, which is a weird addition. Yeah. Why can't I go forward in the slides with my arrow keys? Yeah.
Almost like you're in a bad mood.
It's the same slide twice. Right down. Alright.
Slides
so,
are nice. You showed it twice.
Current Russia. I ran out of slides because I didn't have time to prepare this. Everyone knows Russia had like proxy states through the Cold War. Just a fact. Alright. So basically when it collapsed, those were all on their own and they kind of went crazy. North Korea being the prime example of that. We've already passed this slide. What is happening to my screen? Yeah, so current Russia, the FSB is about 250,000 people in size. It's pretty huge. Which is, how big is that compared to Iowa? That's pretty much everyone in, not Cincinnati, but maybe Cleveland?
No, Columbus.
Columbus. Yeah, it's a lot of people. I don't think that's true. I think Ohio is bigger than we think it is.
Ohio's like 16 million or something.
16 million? 250,000?
It was like 16 million, pretty sure.
Alright, so
Somewhere, maybe.
yeah, the FSB has about 250,000 direct employees. Russia doesn't really do defense contracting, so they don't have a lot of military people who are civilians, the same way the U.S. does. Here's their logo. It's a little bit cooler than ours.
That's a pretty cool logo.
That is
We have
pretty-
two swords.
It's a cool logo, but not enough swords. So the size of the FSB has, I think, doubled in the last 20 years. Basically, Putin has just given them huge amounts of funding because he pretty much directly controls them in the hierarchy.
Who control the Putin?
Yeah, he basically dictates exactly what they do at a personal level. Not quite, though. There's a couple good resources on this. I wish I had links ready, but basically what we call the campaign influence from Russia from 2016 was actually a derivative of what they call Operation Unit like A, or Group A, which was from the KGB, which is basically a huge organization that basically only exists to create false information about foreign countries, and they just basically digitize what they do. A really weird example of what they do that we don't really know about is in the 80s they started spreading a rumor that the Americans created AIDS to kill blacks and Jews, and that got really popular in India to the point where some people still believe it today, wholeheartedly. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, and then the operations in Crimea a couple years ago, we saw the first real impact, real world infrastructure from their cyber. 2008 Stuxnet happened, and that was very, very targeted. But this was literally directly at a populace of civilians. So technically, the Crimea operations go against the Geneva Accord, which say you're basically not supposed to go and kill civilians in a military operation. Since then, we've actually seen cyber worldwide, leaders will be don't do that. So, and they consider there to be no military difference between cyber and conventional forces. If you look at what they're teaching their members now in the military, I've forgotten the name, they have this weird handbook that basically says cyber is the equivalent of what you would have done to break your enemy's spirit before. So that's pretty interesting. What's next? Next is China. So China obviously makes everything. I don't think we quite understand exactly how much they make, because there are 2, maybe 3 American like hardware board manufacturers, and they all subcontract out to China. So they really only design things, and then China like literally makes everything. Is anyone not aware of like the big hack that Bloomberg came out with 2 weeks ago? Or 2 weeks ago, about a month ago. Yeah. So basically, the idea there is that they had these little tiny chips on the motherboards that were building that would basically be, you know, like spyware, but physically on your computer. So even if you wipe the whole thing, it would still be there. What else? They basically steal all intellectual property that they can get their hands on. It's a huge part of how they're funding their economy and making things so cheap, is they don't have to design anything. When you send, you know, parts off to be built in China, you also have to send the information on how to build them, basically, all designed. So they've been cloning that stuff. I think, not L3, but a company nearby, in Cincinnati, actually spent like $2 billion about 10 years ago building a factory in China. And then they had the very specialized part, but then the factory was basically like making the same part for other people for like $0 because they had no engineering price attached to it. It was just the people working there. So that entire part of their business is now gone, which is pretty crazy.
What was that? L3?
I don't think it was L3. It was something similar though.
Wow.
Yeah. So direct impact on you know, Cincinnati with what they're doing. It's really just a sheer numbers thing at that point, because they have so many people that even if we have the same percentile like per capita of, you know, people like us hackers, they have just a crazy amount more. So, and then we have North Korea, and this is where we're going to really go deep with the Googling. We'll probably just watch a video. So, like the FSB, North Korea has what's called the RGB, which is really funny because it's actually basically only does computer stuff and, you know, red, green, blue. It's computer stuff. It's like the FSB, but they also target a lot of financial stuff in addition to all their foreign intelligence that they do. They also have basically the only technical college that North Korea actually has is sponsored by the RGB, and they have a product called Red Star OS, which is actually amazingly interesting, and you can download it. It's a Linux distribution that even if you have it on your local machine, you are not the admin of, because it uses SE Linux, which was ironically created by the NSA, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. Let me find some pictures of this real quick. So Red Star is basically just a clone of Mac OS X. And every time you plug in a USB device to a Red Star operating system, it'll actually try to call out to a server that North Korea owns, just to track all the USB media in the country so they can see who's moving things around. It's pretty crazy. They also have the entire internet kind of... Oh, let's go back to China. I missed a huge thing.
You missed China's cyber unit?
I missed not only their cyber unit, I missed... Oh, shit.
Are you sure Korea's just not checking my hard drive for viruses?
No, actually, they need to get into your computer to fix the viruses.
They are.
Yeah. So, part of China's cyber directive is part of what's called Golden Shield, and Golden Shield is basically their equivalent of the DoD, except only for the internet. If you've ever heard of the Great Firewall, it's a part of this project.
No, man, it's a golden shield.
But at the top it said not to be confused with.
Not to be confused with, the firewall is a sub-project of Golden Shield.
Okay.
So basically, they've recreated everything on the internet inside of China, because it's China and it's huge, to the point where they could literally just turn off their access to the outside world and their society would continue to function because they don't need all that outside stuff. There's Google China, they have Alibaba, which is basically Amazon.
Yeah.
They kind of rose at the same time. The firewall, more specifically, actually, let's go back here. They also block a huge amount of content. China is basically like beating the hell out of Taiwan right now, so they block basically everything they publish. It's almost a genocide, but not quite. Yeah, the Dalai Lama is part of that. Tibet too, not Taiwan. Jesus, Tibet. They're killing everyone in Tibet. websites deemed as subversive, so they actually block just about 90% of blogs, so they probably block Cyber UC by extension of that, just because they don't have time to go through and physically read everything. I think they also block all porn. Yeah.
They probably blocked a lot of stuff.
There was
Hong
a
Kong too.
great interview with the person from China that's their dignitary, chief diplomat, and the reporter asked why are reporters not allowed to visit Western China? And he says, "Oh, it's high altitude. You'll get sick if you go there." Greatest cover up I've ever heard on the news.
Yeah.
He was being interviewed by a major news source.
It's because they're killing everyone in Tibet. Yeah. If you don't know about Tibet, please look it up because it's actually very interesting. They also block pretty much all proxies. They try to block Tor. They also block VPNs. They basically just shut off all of that 2 or 3 years ago now.
I would like to point out I did do a weekly news article about a man who did go to jail because he was hosting a proxy server so that people could get out of the Great Firewall of China in order to go to other websites, and he got something like 30 years in jail and like a couple $1 million US in fines.
Yeah. It's also not just a firewall, it's also what we would call a translation proxy, but that's not really a common term anymore. Basically, man in the middle is like literally everything in the country. So if you tried to reach out, you're probably not actually using the correct SSL technology. You're probably using China SSL, which means the government can see everything you do, even when it's encrypted.
You shouldn't bring your personal devices over to China unless you
Yeah,
plan to throw them
I
out.
think FBI or NSA published a report that if you take a device to China, you may as well throw it away while you're there because it will be infected when you come back.
Buy new devices when you get
Yeah. There's something else.
PLA unit 61 for 61,389.
That too. They also have. I haven't found a whole lot of information about this one. They also have we have driver's licenses so we can drive cars. They have internet licenses there.
Social credits.
It's not social credits. Internet license. Oh, also you have to have a license just to host a website there.
Wow.
Yeah, so you have a permit from the government, I believe, to be able to use the internet. Oh, that's not the right one. To the point where if you go to a cafe, an internet cafe, you have to sign in with your license to use the internet. So if they find someone using Tor there, they know exactly who was there at that time and they can pin it to you. It's kind of crazy. What was the name of that group?
PLA unit 61398.
Yeah, the People's Liberation Army. Where's my mouse button? Yeah, so this is their cyber unit.
People's Liberation Army Advanced Persistent Threat.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty similar to NSA TAO. If you've ever heard of that.
Yep.
Tailored Access Operations Unit.
They're renamed to something else now.
They did rename it. I'm not sure what though. Yeah, APT-1. So this is the first country that got caught hacking other countries, because that's what APTs are, just labels on countries really. They're not kids playing around with sandbox malware.
People are so afraid of Russia, but China was the first ever recognized APT.
2013. Anyway. So Red Star, we jumped back. It's kind of similar to the firewall, but more on a personal level. To the point where it's basically built with your government credentials in it. You have to, if you want to install a piece of software in Red Star and you're in North Korea, you have to go to a physical app store and have them sideloaded onto your computer for you. It's pretty crazy. There's no internet access in North Korea. If you're a researcher and you need to use the internet, is that a slide or a slide? You go to a library if you don't have access directly. Some officials do get access. You go to a library and you have an internet records retriever get it for you. So you basically give them a link, and then they go off for 8 hours and they download the page and make sure it's like in line with all of North Korea's policies on using the internet, and then they print it out and give it to you. Yeah. There's a man who went to Red Star OS who went to North Korea to teach computer science at the. I think this is the talk. It's not it. Yeah. So he went to teach computer science at the RGB College of Technology, which is basically the content that they taught there is what we would call CEH. They didn't cover like.
Minus the E.
What?
I said minus the E, maybe.
Minus the E, yeah, just certified hacker. Apparently, all the students there go through an equivalent undergraduate program would be CEH, but like times 1,000. They have a graduate program there, which we can infer is they're making, tools for North Korea to use to attack other countries with. It's pretty crazy. They also have a single video game there apparently, and it's competitive Tetris. So everything's horrible.
Hard. I could do it.
All right.
Used to have that on Facebook.
What?
Used to have competitive Tetris on Facebook.
I don't know.
Hey guys, you want to go play some video game?
Singular.
Play that video game.
Want to go play the game? You just lost the game.
It's the game.
The game. Anyway, so they're also known for the Sony attacks that happened in 2014. Is that when that happened? With the release of the movie The Interview, which was about them killing Kim Jong-un. WannaCry was supposedly also from North Korea. That was a huge. Let's look it up. Yeah, it was a huge crypto malware that caused like millions and billions of dollars of damages. I don't think it was billions. Probably was. Can't read that. Why can I not zoom in anymore with control? Anyway. Yeah. So they're directly attacking other countries in order to make money.
Why was it called WannaCry?
Because that's how you felt when you got it on your computer. That's how the story went.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, well, this was targeted at like corporations, and so if someone comes in here, encrypts all of your servers, like, and all of your backups.
Yeah, this wasn't really targeted at civilians. This was
Hundreds of
very
millions of dollars.
commercial.
Yeah.
Of course, businesses are also the most vulnerable to attack because they don't patch as often. Yeah, so they used Eternal Blue and I believe Mimikatz? That may have been not this one. I don't know. Yeah, so they basically stole other tools that were already on the internet and released them to make money, so pretty interesting. Wrapping up. Oh, does anyone have anything else that they think I missed? Oh, also the foreign operation locations. This is actually pretty recent. They've been seen like in India with like basically posts from which they're doing their cyber attacks. They're not just doing it in country anymore because it's weird.
Who?
North Korea.
Because they're not good enough to hide their location.
Because they're not good enough to hide their location because they only have a single ISP for the whole country. Also, all of North Korea has a 10.0 address. It's an interesting one. It's literally an entire private subnet for the whole country. Yeah.
So they're nabbing.
Yeah, they nap the whole country.
For the whole country.
Yeah, because they have a single ISP and it's Russia. Let's look that up. Like for the country.
That's insane. I don't know if this was a hack or not, but there was a group of people that were buying out apps and were throwing up ads on them. And they would just go out and buy regular used ads or apps and then throw ads on them, and then we're generating like unique Android data to go and download the apps and run them, and then generate basically traffic for the ad data. They somehow walked away with like over 18 million. When Vice wrote the story, they said, "Oh, just a few million." Like somebody from the group was like, "No."
How's that work? Wait, so they just repackaged them and sold them in another country?
So are they buying the apps or just stealing them? Or like were they paid apps in the App Store?
The owner of the app and be like, "We'll buy this, product, or basically we'll buy the product from you," and then it becomes So they buy the rights to it, and then they had a way of just generating a lot of. I don't know how they went through and did it, but they were generating a lot of unique traffic that Google didn't pick up on. So essentially,
For
Google
ads.
thinks that all these unique Androids are running the app when it's just a bunch of VMs or whatnot, and then since they're generating traffic, they're generating traffic ads, and therefore getting paid.
From North Korea. Or just out the internet.
Google's paying out
Oh,
ads
okay.
for the
Yeah.
ads.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're also trying to backdoor any of those apps because apparently for the guy from the
They were going, because they were going
Yeah.
and grabbing people's phones too.
yeah, but the guy who worked at the RGB Institute in taught computer science, he said they were basically interested in Windows internals, like really weirdly, like specifically, like what we'd call exploit parts of it, and Android, and basically nothing else. So.
What's the internet in North Korea? Is it provided by Russia?
They have intranet for the whole country, which is apparently provided free for all their citizens, but you obviously have to be in range of it.
I mean, if you only have 100 citizens
Yeah.
on the internet.
They also sell their own weird Android tablets that have analog TV antennas. That's a pretty unique feature. That's Korea TV tablet. That's a real thing. Yeah, this is Malaysian.
Shopping, let's buy one.
A straight rip of
The Nexus.
the Nexus, but it has a TV antenna on it. These ones don't have. There it is. That's real. That's a real thing.
Oh my god. Of course, they didn't have the analog digital version yet.
Yeah.
They're pushing the boundaries of technology. Has science
The
gone too
future
far?
is now. Look at it and be afraid.
Has science gone too far? I love how they're even running that terribly inefficient animated
Yeah.
screensaver.
Yeah. Apparently this is the default background too, where it's like a picture of a missile and then some kind of cybery thing going over here. There's a video on YouTube. It's just some Russian guy who got one of these, and he's just looking at the features, of which there's like 5, and the TV is 2 of them, and the remaining 3 are a read-only memory on the device that's encrypted, so you cannot touch it at all without bricking the device, basically. It has all the writings of all of North Korea's leaders on it. It's pretty crazy.
I also noticed they're running, that looks like Android Honeycomb, which is ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ancient Android.
Let's download Red Star.
Oh god.
Just kidding.
Stars.
Red Stars.
Yeah, let's run our lab on Red Star.
Save as.
And when we get the lab up, behind 2 firewalls, we'll have a section that we just wall off.
No,
from
let's
the
use
world.
Red Star as like our main OS.
Yeah.
Red Star.
I was talking to Doug, and he was actually the one who turned me on to Red Star as a research topic, and he basically said he set it up, and he was manually middling it, and it was like every second it was trying to call out to servers that they couldn't get because they were in North Korea.
That'd be
It's
interesting. to
crazy.
Put it next to some honeypots.
Yeah.
And then give it a raw
Yeah.
line to the internet so it can talk to North Korea.
I wouldn't be surprised if it at least looks for other devices on the network that aren't Red Star. I wouldn't expect it to exploit them, though.
Pipe its traffic through a VPN, let it touch the internet, and give it a.
Because that would be another way for them to track who's using unauthorized computers. Yeah. They also use a lot of Windows XP over there, which is pretty interesting. Red Star 2 is basically a clone of Windows XP, but in Linux. The current version is 4, which no one's seen yet, I don't think. But 3 is basically Mac OS X cloned. Anything else? Questions?
I'm trying to think of it. I think Shadow Brokers did a release of an SA tool that was like expertly written in Java. Was that Eternal Blue?
Was it?
Yeah.
That could have been Eternal. I mean,
I don't
Shadow
know.
Brokers have released a number of experts.
I know. I was just trying to remember though. I just thought it was interesting that it was in Java.
Yeah. So that's about it. There's way more than this. This is like very, very introductory level stuff to what the rest of the world is doing.
We didn't really talk about their financial goals.
Their financial goals, North Korea?
or just like their targets?
Their targets are literally everyone, except for maybe Russia. Yeah. So North Korea has historically gone after like major financial institutions. It usually goes over them a little. It goes for them a little bit more stealthily, and they try to hide in normal data and transfers. They also, do a lot of ransomware. We've seen like 3 in the last 5 years.
They like to do
huge
social
ones.
engineering.
They like to do social engineering.
They also like to target enterprises.
Yeah, basically their goals are money and, that's really it. Money.
Cool.
They're just funding their operations basically through their operations. All right, so TV capable tablet.
Dark Pulsar was the name of it.
Dark Pulsar, what was that?
It was one of those released by. That was one of those removed.
It was used in WannaCry.
Yeah, WannaCry was basically stapled together Shadow Broker tools.
So that was double Pulsar and Eternal Blue.
Yeah.
I don't know what Dark Pulsar is.
It's the same thing.
Cool.
So is that a tablet that like the public can get? Like,
I don't think you can buy this outside of North Korea. However, they have a pretty relaxed border with Russia apparently right now, so people are going over there and buying it. There's probably a image dump on the internet now. It's a couple years old. All this information. So you can download Red Star. Yeah, the guy who made the presentation on it, like the first one, because he got it out of the country while he was teaching there. He basically, at the end of the presentation, goes, "Oh, I probably won't put this up on the internet, but I was contacted by someone else who will." That's pretty funny.
I mean, does it get updates?
Does it get updates? No. They don't even have DNS names like commonly used in North Korea, apparently. They just, like when you open the default install of the browser, it takes you to a 10.0 IP. Wow. Yeah, it's all hard-coded. Although they are IP squatting on South Korean sites on that huge NAT basically. They route a lot of stuff out of there.
Yeah, if you're natting your whole country.
Yeah, you can route anything that anyone types into a browser. So if you know an IP address, you can redirect it. You know a DNS name, you can also redirect it. You're basically the internet provider to the whole country at that point, and you are the government. So China does the same thing, but not quite as much. They mainly just block content. All right, that's it.
Who should we be most afraid of out of all?
Who should we be most afraid of? Me. No, just
the Ruski China.
Yeah.
I'm more afraid.
Just seem like the most capable.
North Korea is probably the largest threat in terms of personal computing because of the amount of ransomware they produce. In terms of business, it is probably China because they go after intellectual property like 24/7.
They're relentless.
Yeah. Russia's more of a traditional, intelligence-based attack system. So they're not really going after you unless you have government secrets.
You got any government secrets in there?
No, I just have a Chinese phone that I've been really curious about.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna see if I can run my Wireshark on it currently.
To see what happens.
Yeah.
See if you can even pick it up.
Okay.
Cool. We're gonna try to get images of these devices.
Is that it?
That's it.
I don't think that's the wrong.
Presentation will be better next time.
It's fine, that was interesting. There is no next time.
There is no next time.
Not for me.
I quit.
Hey, when is our next meeting?
Next meeting? Next semester.